raccoons and all we want to do is make a mess.
Normally, I'd want to eat this food, but I just want to throw it on the ground.
Forget otters. We're the clown princes of the animal kingdom.
Oh, gross.
Our galaxy itself contains 100 billion stars. It's 100,000 light years side to side. It bulges in the middle, 16,000 light years thick, but out by us it's just 3,000 light years wide.
It is 5:16 p.m. on Thursday, May 4th, 2017, and I am on my way to the AMC Universal City Walk 19 in beautiful Universal City, California, to catch an 8 p.m. screening of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm some jerk with a camera, and welcome to One Movie Later, where I compare and contrast my preconceptions and postconceptions of movies in theaters now. So as we all know by now, this month Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout will be opening at DCA, replacing the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which closed about 4 months ago. I've already done 2 State of the Parks videos about Mission Breakout, and I'm definitely going to do an in-park vlog once it actually opens, so I don't want to focus too much on that in this video, but I do want to say one thing, which is that in those State of the Parks episodes, I was very dismissive towards people who are skeptical about this ride. Maybe a little too dismissive. Because the thing is, I get it. I get that we theme park fans really hate it when rides close because they never open again. I mean, it's not like a movie where you can just revisit your favorite movies on Blu-ray whenever you darn well feel like it. I mean, when a ride's gone, it's gone forever. I will never be able to ride Maelstrom again, for example. And I also get that there was nothing wrong with the Tower of Terror. I mean, sure, it wasn't as good as its Florida counterpart, but if you've never been to Florida, there was literally nothing wrong with it. It was popular, it was fun, it was exciting, it was a little dark, which was unique for DCA. I get why people are upset about the Tower of Terror going away. And I also get why people are skeptical about them replacing it with a ride based on a movie released only 3 years ago, because it makes Disney look like they're just following a trend. I really don't agree with that argument in this particular case, but I do see where it's coming from. I mean, look at Stitch's Great Escape. That, too, replaced a really great attraction with an attraction based on a movie that was only a couple years old, and look what happened there. So I understand the skepticism, I really do. What I don't understand is why so many people seem reluctant or even completely unwilling to actually put that skepticism to the test and give the ride a chance when it actually opens. I mean, for Pete's sake, have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy? It's kind of awesome. Guardians was kind of like a cross between a Marvel movie, a space opera movie, and a really good Adult Swim show. And maybe I'm a sick little monkey, but that's exactly the kind of thing I've always wanted to see more of at theme parks in general, but especially at Disneyland. A slightly more edgy, irreverent movie that's also just a lot of fun. I mean, the Tower of Terror is fun too, but it doesn't really capture the Twilight Zone all that well. It abandons the morality plays of the stories in favor of just a fun, kind of creepy experience, and that's not really what the Twilight Zone was about. Guardians of the Galaxy, on the other hand, was basically a thrill ride for 90 minutes, so it makes sense that it would become a thrill ride for real. Mission Breakout billboard right there, soak it in. I just kind of have to admire how Guardians of the Galaxy happened. Marvel was fresh off the success of the Avengers. They very easily could have just played it safe for the next few years, and instead they said, let's see how far we can stretch this. Let's take a property that very few people have heard of and give it to a writer-director primarily known for doing really dark indie films. It didn't contain any famous marquee characters. The star of it was the guy from Parks and Rec before he was the biggest thing on the planet, and it became the biggest box office hit of 2014. And it wasn't even really a superhero movie. You realize that? Like Guardians of the Galaxy is always called a superhero movie because it's in the MCU, but there's really no superpowers in it. I guess Groot has superpowers, but otherwise it's just a couple of really good fighters and a snarky raccoon and just a guy. I mean, sure, they're able to handle the stone by holding hands together and everything at the end, but again, that's not revealed till the end. And James Gunn is, of course, doing not just this movie, but now he's signed on for a third Guardians movie, which is kind of remarkable when you consider that the MCU has a history of taking visionary directors and kind of chewing them up and spitting them out. Jon Favreau, gone. Kenneth Branagh, gone. Joss Whedon, gone and possibly working for the competition. Edgar Wright was gone before he even got to make his movie. But with James Gunn, Marvel seems to realize, hey, this thing was kind of a long shot in every sense of the word, and this guy pulled it off, so we should probably hang on to him. And if I'm not talking that much about the movie I'm about to see, that's because, you know, this segment of One Movie Later is usually devoted to my preconceptions, and I really don't have that many preconceptions about this one. The trailers haven't revealed that much of the story or the plot. All we know is the Guardians are back, they're running around the galaxy, they run into Star-Lord's father, played by Kurt Russell, which is great. I always love seeing Kurt Russell and stuff. They run into these giant golden Oscar people, which is weird. But otherwise, we in the States, where the movie has not officially come out yet, don't really know what happens in it. The trailers have mostly just presented us with character moments, which fits because no one really cared about the plot in the first movie. It was all for the characters. I mean, what was the plot of the first one, really? It was bad guy needs a MacGuffin so that he can destroy everything, and the good guys need to stop the bad guy from getting the MacGuffin. That's all it was. I'm trying to keep my expectations reasonable, though, because I find that usually when a movie as good as Guardians gets a sequel, the sequel kind of suffers from high expectations. But so far from what I've seen in the trailers, the banter is hilarious, Baby Groot is adorable, and I am loving the awesome Mix 2 playlist that's been announced. Sam Cooke, Fleetwood Mac, George Harrison, sweet. Mwah, awesome stuff. The end credit song is being performed by David Hasselhoff. How do you not love that? And I guess my only other big preconception about this movie concerns the whole soap opera aspect of the MCU, because we still have one more Infinity Stone to find, the Soul Stone. Will they wheel it out in this movie, or are they saving it for Homecoming, or more likely Ragnarok? I guess we shall see. It just altogether looks like a really fun time at the movies, which we all desperately need in these trying times. Okay, so we just saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Ooh, good shaka, bitches.
Tuga Chaka.
Tuga Chaka, yes indeed. Introduce yourselves, starting right here.
Morgan, aka The Wire. I see you.
I am R.L. King of the SS Artifice. I am on Earth for now, reviewing this with Charlie. With Tony.
That's right.
Luke Ski, guy what makes funny music and cartoons.
Well, don't be shy.
That's Rocket. He's a little shy.
Bradley
right now.
Cooper, star of American Sniper.
That raccoon is realer than the baby in that.
Yes, it is.
Charlie.
I'm Charlie. I am also Star-Lord.
Excuse you.
You're Char-Lord.
Char-Lord.
Yep.
Excuse
That's
you.
my favorite
Do you
Pokemon.
see my face?
Do you see my jacket?
They have an
We'll
ongoing
fight to
argument
death.
over
Look,
who's
we'll take
prettier.
your head, put it on his body, and you'll both be Char-Lord.
Ew.
Well, y'all.
We've
you'll
been
be
over
Charlie.
this. I am not giving Charlie
For what
head.
it's worth,
Hey,
I vote
hey.
Charlie.
Speaking of people who
You
want
got-
Charlie's
hang
body,
on.
let's talk to Haley now.
Well, you guys already share an apartment, so trust me, there's nothing you don't know about each other. All right, Haley.
Yes, I am Haley, aka Trickster Bell.
And I'm David Doggins Gansel, and I'm getting over a cold, which is why my voice sounds so sexy right now.
We just saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and that was awesome.
It was a
Yeah.
worthy follow-up.
That's one of the few kind of weaknesses with the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far, is that their second movies of the franchises often have not been as strong.
Yeah,
Basically because they're just kind of spinning their wheels.
Yeah, they're just kind of
We've
waiting.
had two that are both really good. We've had Winter Soldier, and we've had this
Right.
That was kind of seeing Captain America in a purely modern setting, and this was us seeing the Guardians on the job, like after they've clearly settled into their professional rhythm, so that
It was
then,
definitely a plot I have not seen very often. Like, it went to unexpected places.
Yes,
for
it
me.
did.
This is actually, I think, the first sequel that Marvel has, besides Iron Man 2, where the plot of this movie is a direct consequence of the first movie.
That's
Like,
true.
Where, like, there are characters who say, like, I heard you did this thing
Right.
before, and that's basically their entire motivation.
I dare say this was better than the first Guardians. I love the
It might
first
have.
Guardians. I think this is even better because the first Guardians, as great as it was, kind of had a weak villain. This did not.
No.
Even if the Marvel movies did have good villains, it would still be hard to top Loki. And I'm not sure this tops Loki, but I think it comes in
This is a
second.
completely different breed from Loki.
Yeah.
I loved the first Guardians movie, but I felt like the characters Gamora and Nebula specifically were really underwritten. That is not the problem.
Yeah.
They
fill in those blanks.
I dare say they get one of the strongest plot lines in the movie. And thank goodness Gamora gets to be something besides a surrogate mom in this movie.
I could watch an entire movie that was just 2 hours of Drax laughing at things.
You must be so embarrassed! That was in the trailer, not
Do me!
But yeah, Drax discovered the concept of humor in a big way.
Yes. His interactions with the new character, Antenna Girl?
Mantis.
Yes. Oh my god.
I actually disagree with most of you on this one. And this isn't necessarily... Because the movies... I love the movie, just to be clear.
This is not Rogue One again.
This is Rogue 2.
What made the first one work was that the characters had such strong personalities that came together at the end. This one, it felt like they had to unravel some of the things they built in the first movie, particularly with Rocket, who it felt like his character went back to how he was at the very beginning of the first movie.
I disagree,
because
in the first movie, I mean, I get the sense that Rocket has gotten to the point where he's gotten comfortable enough with the Guardians that it's starting to scare him, and he's actively trying to undermine his relationship with them. Especially now that he doesn't have Groot to rely on so much.
Right.
The dynamic has changed.
He's now kind of playing the uncle to the now baby Groot.
Baby Groot, oh my god. Baby
sense.
Groot gives me emotions.
I thought he was adorable on screen, but I felt a lot like watching... having an adorable pet in a movie. Where I'm just I'm glad. I'm not mad that you're here, but I don't. But besides the necessity of you being here, I think if that character was not so necessary from the sequel, he would not have survived a draft of the script. Except for in one big moment in the climax, which could have easily been rewritten.
There is a bit of a cute puppy aspect with him, where it's kind of like, when in doubt, just throw Baby Groot on screen, and then
I'm going to respectfully disagree with everyone here in saying that it was better than the first one. I'm a little biased in this situation. I love the first. It is my favorite MCU movie. Period.
Here's the thing. I don't agree with that. I also think that Guardians 1 is better.
Okay,
just in case I wasn't clear on that. It's probably the closest Marvel is ever going to get to doing a straight-up comedy. It feels a little bit like James Gunn is now competing with Edgar Wright for who can be the most effective visual comedy director.
I think Edgar's still winning, but...
Well, the thing is, they're approaching it in very different ways. Like, Edgar is like, let's tell it all basically in the edit, and he was like, let's tell it just via, let's tell it with, the camera itself, just, how it moves. Which, Edgar does that too, but I don't think he did it to quite the same effect that James did it, but James didn't do any of the editing tricks that Edgar pulls off, so...
Only difference is James Gunn gets to direct Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Fox on the Run, not included on the soundtrack. Not in the movie, that was just in the trailer.
That was our Spirit in the Sky for this movie.
The Chain by Fleetwood Mac was used twice in the movie. Both are amazing. I was a little disappointed the first time it used, because it's such a great song, and they only used it for that little scene. Okay, but then it comes back in the climax, and you're like, God damn, that was great.
It's rated PG-13, but it's not a hard PG-13. In fact, it's almost like it's just PG with some, choice anatomical words that,
It's PG-12. You kind of do have to have seen the first movie in order to understand this, but you don't have to have seen any other Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as you've seen the first one, it does. You can see this one with no problems.
It is a direct continuation, because I love that first movie. This one, perfect. Perfect sequel.
There are a couple of branches they copied from the first movie, but they're hung on a different vine, if that makes any sense.
Of Groot. There's so many cameos in this movie,
Yes.
both celebrities and just characters. Now, I'm not a big Marvel Comics reader, so I didn't recognize a lot of the things that got knowing laughs from the audience, but I'm very anxious to hear you all explain them to me in the spoiler space.
Yes.
Through the whole thing, including the 5 post-credit scenes and mid-credit scenes.
That felt like James Gunn just being like, oh, I have to put mid-credit scenes in the movie? Well, fine.
Here's all of them.
I'll put all of them in. No other movies will have any left in the piggy bank now.
I was just because if anyone could have pulled it off, it would have been Marvel. I was hoping there would be some Mission Breakout foreshadowing. Like I don't know, some Easter egg like cut to the collector going, I've founded the perfect collection or something. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being a whiny fanboy, but whatever. Loved it. Go see it. Just it's amazing. It builds on the mythos. It builds on the Marvel mythos, but keeps it grounded to the Guardians, and I liked it even more than the first Guardians.
It is a Guardians film that is both funnier than the original and has more pathos.
It's almost kind of like a Pixar movie in some ways,
Yeah.
in that it manages to be very funny and very
Bring tissues and don't do an elaborate makeup job.
It's the right kind of sequel. It doesn't try to remake the first movie. It builds on everything you saw in the first movie and fills in a lot of holes that might have been there. It brings you joy and tears, and it's such a deeply felt movie with beautiful colors and just so much fun. So much fun. Go see it. If you like movies, you'll probably like this.
So little was revealed in the trailers.
That's true.
That it's really hard to talk about this movie and what makes it work without going into spoilers.
And with that, we go to spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoilers on the run.
Like a fox on a run.
They killed Michael Rooker? He was the best thing in the movie!
He sacrificed himself.
Yes, I know, but still, like, he was one of the...
Well,
As soon as that arrow broke, I knew it. It was like when Han Solo stepped on that platform. It's like, okay, we're going there.
No!
Well,
God damn it! The thing is, like, Peter Quill is dead.
Peter Quill lost all his parental figures.
All his parental figures.
You know-
And not only that, but he has watched all of them die, like, right in front of him.
That's true.
Well, one of them, he had some influence over their death.
Well, yeah,
It really did not matter by the end.
He killed one, and he watched the other two die.
If you think about the fact that while he was killing one, the other one had to sacrifice himself. Really, he killed two of them.
Yeah. I mean,
well, I'm sorry. That sounded more glib than I expected. They stick him in like this pod that looks like the exit tube from the Lego movie.
It's like the Spock feature.
I was gonna say, I thought they were launching into the Genesis planet.
Yeah,
I was honestly
More
surprised.
80s music, come on! We don't need a Genesis planet.
I was
We need a
honestly
Peter Gabriel
surprised that Star-Lord didn't do a self-aware of all the souls I've ever known.
Yeah.
I was just convinced that he was going to open his eyes. Like, no way, they didn't kill Michael Rooker. You can't kill Michael Rooker in a James Gunn movie. No!
They really expanded Sean Gunn's role. In this
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Like, he has a lot more lines now, officially making this the weirdest episode of Gilmore Girls.
Yondu and Rocket are trapped in Ravager prison,
Yeah.
and Groot has to go get them a certain MacGuffin they need to escape. And he keeps bringing them the wrong thing. At one point, he just brings a desk, and he brings a
rat.
Brings a severed toe.
When the Ravagers were mutinying, or pulling their mutiny against Yondu, and they're just shooting all of his friends out into space through...
All of his supporters, one at a time.
One at a time.
Right in
airlock.
front
Through the
of
airlock.
him.
But not Sean Gunn.
Not Sean Gunn.
It's just one guy, and he's getting sucked out into space. It's like, oh shit, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
but then he
gruesome.
floats more into space, and you see an entire
Everyone.
field
row of bodies.
It's like, I forgot you were a horror director for a second.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Taserface!
Taserface.
The guy who thinks Taserface is a great, threatening villain name, and everyone's just making fun of him for
I
it.
guarantee you that was written because somebody in the studio was like looking at the credits and was like, why do we name this guy Taserface? And they were like, we're making that a plot point.
Then there's their so-called adorable scene with little baby Groot.
Or they're basically kicking a puppy.
Yeah.
They're abusing him. And
Mascot.
that makes the Arrow action scene so much more satisfying.
Yeah,
as
just
you've
because
seen
we've
all that
seen-
leads up to it.
The come a little bit closer scene. The arrow's just going through.
Yeah, well,
the-
it
That's one
established
of the
that
scenes I was
of the...
referring to when I said what he was doing with the camera is he was just pulling back. And
Yeah.
The
That was
deepest
amazing.
circle of hell is reserved for betrayers and mutineers.
I'm
And
pretty
boy,
sure.
does he bring the hell! Like it's incredible. adorable.
I'm pretty sure this movie had the highest body count of the MCU.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Except possibly
Avengers.
Ultron.
Ultron, yeah.
Who dropped a city on top of
The largest confirmed body count.
Yeah. The reason that Finn, the prototype Finn, was huge is because in the comics, he doesn't have a prototype thing. He just has a huge fin on his head.
Gotcha.
And it's shaped like that. So actually, in the comics, he's also an archer, not a guy who's.
Has a whistling arrow.
And I guess for the movies they figured, well, we already have Hawkeye, so who cares?
Yeah.
You know? Maybe I just missed something. So Yondu kills all of those Ravagers on that in that one sequence, but at the end, after he dies, they still the Ravager families all show up to honor him. Like,
Well, yeah, because
they treat him even worse.
No, actually, that entire
had
Ravager section have been excommunicated because of Yondu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and they were the ones that all mutinied against him.
They didn't want anything to do with anybody in Yondu's crew. So honestly, Yondu killing all of them kind of did them a favor.
Also, Sylvester Stallone is kind of...
Yes!
And what I was sure was going to lead to an arm wrestling over the top reference.
You betrayed the something. He
Yeah,
said you betrayed the code.
You betrayed the law! And Stallone still can't talk.
That scene was Stallone and Michael Rooker talking, so it was gravel. It was like grumble versus rasp.
Yeah.
Not that I want to talk right now.
One person had sand in his mouth, the other one had rocks. It was a robot. It appeared to be a robot
brothel.
Yeah.
Robo brothel.
It was Westworld. Everything about the opening credits was perfect.
Yes! Oh, man.
And here comes the giant space beast that everyone's assuming is, one of the super huge
The
big
school
bads.
from Watchmen, basically.
Yeah, the whole thing was a misdirect so that we could focus on Baby Groot
Dancing
being adorable
towards the sky.
dancing around, and while all of the incredible action is intentionally out of focus behind it, while the credits are rolling, I'm like, this is the most brilliant thing I've seen. That's the most brilliant comic thing done with opening credits in a Marvel movie since Deadpool.
and paralleled the first Guardians movie where the opening credits was Peter dancing around.
It was the best escalation of
like it took it to the ceiling of where it could go.
Making Groot, Baby Groot, for this whole movie.
Well, except for one post-credit scene where he's
there's a post-credit scene where he's
emo teen Groot.
Teenage Groot.
Okay, he's gonna be back to adult Groot by the time the next movie starts.
Right. Yeah,
so
that's a good
the
filmmaker.
character of Groot will be back. It was a really great way to sideline Groot so that other people could have the focus.
That didn't feel like
And then-
sidelining Groot.
It was also a way to isolate Rocket.
Yeah, because Rocket had to basically be Groot's
yeah.
parent. There's a lot of parental themes in this.
Well, that's
Guardians
a
of
lot
the
of
Galaxy.
I wonder why.
Kurt Russell,
As Ego the Living Planet.
Ego the Living Planet becomes the villain in this because he realizes that his purpose is to make everything
into
him.
Can I just point out that this means Kurt Russell is kind of a version of the Thing?
I just realized.
Oh my God! I was just gonna say he's trying to become Unity from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, but the weird thing is that means Morty is Star-Lord and his mom is Rick.
He's not like knowingly pulling one over. Like he genuinely believes this is my purpose. This is why I've been put on this earth. This is everything is right and good with this. Why are you not getting with this, Peter? Come on! And it results in these like genuine bonding moments between Kurt Russell and Star-Lord.
They play catch.
They play literal catch.
Yeah.
With a magic light ball.
Ball of energy.
Well, the thing is that the ball of energy is supposed to be like Ego's flame, so they're kind of playing catch with Ego's ball, which is a little...
Oh, hush. But, like, those are genuine moments. He's not, like, trying to deceive Peter.
Right.
Like, those are genuine bonding moments. And he's like, oh, this will work. And it doesn't work.
He's so happy when Peter can manipulate the energy because he's like, I imagine that's where his other children have kind of failed him.
Yeah.
Until he got to Peter, none of them could do the light thing. Hey, I'm your dad. Everything's going to be great. You get to live here. It's all awesome. And then they get to the point where they can't make the energy ball, and he's like, oh, sorry, you didn't make it. And down in the hole they go.
You go down the hole.
You go down the hole. Peter can do it, and his joy when he sees that.
And he says, like, I am not alone. So, like, there's some genuine longing there. It's just building up to something horrible.
Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting thing about it is that, for most of it, Peter sold on it.
Yeah.
Until the moment where Ego says, I hated putting that tumor in your mom's head.
Right.
And then it's just
And,
then
then it's like he said, "Save Martha," and he just.
the anti-save Martha.
That's weird.
It's the
I killed Martha.
This is the fourth superhero.
Martha, fuck up!
This is like the fourth superhero in like 2 or 3
What
years
is
that's
it
been
going-
motivated by their mothers.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I mean, that just makes
It
me
works.
so sad. I'm like, I really want to know more about this woman.
Speaking as someone who actually did lose his mother to cancer, yeah, I'd shoot the motherfucker who gave her that.
Well, what's amazing about that
Well
to me is
done.
that there wasn't any like moment where he's like, "What?" He's just
Yeah.
like, it's just instantly, "Fuck you, fuck
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
fuck you, fuck you,
Well,
fuck you."
because he's getting it all in his head while the guy is talking. Like, at that point, they're telepathically bonded, and Peter is seeing...
And because like there's this like galaxy in Peter's eyes at this point, and the
Yeah.
moment he says that, his eyes go back to normal.
Yeah,
Right.
because
And,
he's seeing it from... Because he's not just hearing the words, he's seeing what his father did and seeing that it meant nothing to him.
It's kind of a commentary on how power corrupts and how...
Yeah,
And
because I think he did legitimately love Peter's mother, but he was more important. The living creatures on the planet didn't really matter to him.
Yeah.
Like,
And
he wanted everything to become himself. He's the embodiment of ego.
The universe needs to become a giant DQ blizzard because of the cross-promotional tie-in.
Oh right, his name is Ego. There's no way he's a good guy.
Yeah, exactly. Captain EO is Star-Lord's father. At least his name's not Id.
That's a reference to my video.
Indeed. Well, it's a... Well, you wouldn't invent it.
You don't know that. You don't.
But
You're not Freud.
You don't know about the bootstrap complex. Yeah, this could work.
So when they first get to Ego's planet, and it's supposed to be this like ethereal magic
Pandora.
Lush paradise.
There are parts of that planet that basically look like what would happen if Thomas Kincaid fucked Lisa Frank
On Naboo.
on Naboo.
What if they chose Pandora as where they would build Rivendell? That's...
Yeah! And that was seen from that part of the movie.
The film opens with a prologue that takes place in Missouri, 1980, and it's mo-capped young Kurt Russell driving the mom around.
Yes.
And the de-aging thing here again.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
now this is the best version of it yet.
Yes.
This is...
Although I just rewatched Civil War, and the de-aging they did on the young
Robert Downey Jr.
young Robert Downey Jr.
That was okay.
Kurt Russell was had most of his career around 1980.
Well, so did
they
Robert
have-
Downey Jr.
They have an immense amount of reference material to go from.
Well, in 19...
Well,
Well, you
that's
can say
also
the
true.
same about Michael Douglas and Ant-Man.
He also spoke very little. Like what he basically was just like driving, and then look at this thing I played.
They also sort of reveal his...
and Michael Douglas is like doing this impassioned like "fuck you" speech.
And with young Kurt Russell, they reveal his face. Where like first he's behind the door frame of the car, and then it pans over.
The technology has improved by leaps and bounds since Tron Legacy.
Oh, of course.
That's for sure. If this guy is millions of years old and he's basically ageless, why did he age 34 years between...
Because he knew that's what his son would expect to see.
He even said like this form is mortal, but I am immortal.
Anytime I go into any live-action movie under the Disney umbrella, I'm going to assume at some point I'm going to see a de-aged actor now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And if that's...
Some people even de-aged beyond death.
But if that's the case, why the fuck are they bothering with Emily Blunt for Mary Poppins Returns? Julie Andrews is still working.
But Julie Andrews is not still singing.
Neither is Emma Watson, and that didn't stop them.
I'm Mary Poppins, bitches!
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! Probably the best line in the movie.
Yeah.
God damn, I'm gonna miss Michael Rooker!
That was the best line in the movie. However, the best moment, the best beat in the movie, without a doubt,
Is the fucking escape scene.
Waka waka.
no.
Oh, yeah.
Pac-Man.
Waka waka waka.
Waka 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 waka. Star-Lord and his father are fighting each other, and
With
they're
their
both
planet powers.
with their planet powers, which now Star-Lord doesn't have anymore.
That's gonna
It's
be
like-
a new barometer. If they ever do make another Green Lantern movie, they're gonna be competing with that.
It's like
a
so
live
Kurt Russell makes a bigger version of himself, and then Peter, because he's creative and an 80s kid,
Just
and
makes
has experience,
Pac-Man.
just
Waka,
makes
waka,
Pac-Man.
waka, waka.
Bitch.
Fucking.
And a lot of the humor of this movie was like that, where it's like, you know, super intense action, super intense thing is happening. choke right in your face.
Yeah, I gotta say though, if you want to kill Kurt Russell, just poison his coffee.
Spoiler!
No, saw Hateful Eight. Okay.
My favorite moment lasted for like half a second, and I'm the only one in the theater who laughed at it. Ego's looking at Peter, and he's like, "You think like even in my area, we've heard of the man called Star-Lord?" And you see Peter Coulson go. How fucking awesome was it to see Gamora just lift a
giant freaking gun?
Yes.
I just walk forward, shooting and screaming.
So
that was her Ellen Ripley moment.
That entire fight
right
passes the Bechdel test.
Yeah.
Yes.
The entire fight passes the Bechdel
Yes.
test.
yeah, it does. Although, don't they talk about Thanos?
It takes a minute. Like the fight itself is not over a man. It's can
Okay.
we get this shit over with already?
Yeah. Like,
By the
let's deal with our baggage. Even though he didn't appear in this movie, we get more information about what makes Thanos evil. We keep getting told that he's bad, but we don't see him do anything.
This is some Buffalo Bill shit.
Like, now we're like, oh my goodness, he really is sadistic. Like,
He's making his kids into cyborgs and shit. It's like,
all because they're losing.
And what's amazing is they drop the hint that
oh god, is that
we've
what's
only
happening
seen-
with the Trump kids?
They're making him more like a whispered legend of sorts.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen
He's Thanos, the man of fate.
We haven't seen Thanos do anything besides sit in a chair and put on a glove. What they implied at one point was that we are only seeing 2 of his daughters. He's apparently got dozens, possibly hundreds of them scattered across the galaxy, who are just like female mercenaries that he has trained to be perfect killing machines.
Essentially just to give the Avengers more of an Ultron-like horde to fight.
Theoretically.
I can't imagine like a horde of Gamoras. They seem to mostly be independent operatives that he can send to do specific
well, a horde of
tasks.
nebulas.
A horde of Gamoras to you this fine morning.
Thanos is a reverse Gandalf, where Gandalf was kind of in the business of setting up lost kings. Thanos is in the business of setting up these like
Horde of Gamoras by Runaways cover band.
Thanos is setting up this
I
like
saw them open for reverse
like-
Gandalf. It was awesome.
But I mean, like Thanos, like basically funded Loki's coup.
Yeah.
He funded Ronan's coup. He's like taking these poor little lost souls and saying, "You could take over the galaxy. You could take over this planet, and then I get the dividends."
And then finally, he's like, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Yes, that strategy.
Right, but in the meantime, he's used his little puppets to collect the Infinity Stones, or at least to locate them. I really liked Mantis. I thought that she was
she was adorable
in a galaxy full of really, really tough people. Her thing is she's just so sensitive
and naive.
That's her gimmick. Is she can feel other people's feelings.
There's a lot of viscera in this Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I am not quite used to from MCU. Like every time Ego would rebuild himself, you'd see like the bones and the organs, and like it didn't shy away
like bits
from
of his skull.
wounds and like bits of arms flying off, and you saw people die in the vacuum of space.
We are talking about the guy who directed Slither.
First Guardians of the Galaxy movie would do things like pull away at the last minute. This did not. You saw everything.
I guess they got away with it because they're aliens, so technically it's not blood. It's just
people die, but they don't really bleed.
They never framed anything that he did as like gory. It was almost just like a medical examination of here's the skull.
I feel like if the Sovereign had been the main villain,
it would have been a retread of
right. But the fact that she's just kind of there making everything.
They were the red herring villains.
They presented themselves as the cliche stoic race who is above everything and beyond emotion, but every time you see them, they're being crippled by their own emotion. Like they are overreacting to everything. They're like, "Fuck, nothing's going my way."
We're the superior species, but like their whole method of going out, having ships go out and fight people is essentially a video game
with old-timey 80s arcade sound effects.
Because of course,
amazing.
That kind of lent itself to Last Starfighter a little bit.
They showed up to just add more chaos to an already chaotic
I love that
situation.
their whole thing was they took themselves way too seriously.
Yeah.
Every time they showed up, everyone was like, "Screw off, we're doing something."
Rocket and Groot, and had them fuck off to another scene for like. There's a good chunk of time where they're just not in the movie because they're blasting through 700 different jumps and going.
That was a cool scene.
Going through just
with crazy Photoshop warps on it.
That was someone who likes VFX like on a technical level. That was a brilliant idea. It was brilliantly executed.
Because it's like the effects team is just like, well, what do we have them look like?
I felt like that scene was the kind of thing they wanted to do with the infinite improbability drive and the hitchhiker's
Yeah! Quill leaves Earth in 1988, I think at age like 7. He knows a lot about Earth shit for someone who left it at age 7.
I heard 12 somewhere.
No, it had to be like 7 because it showed a clip from 1980.
1980 was right before he was born.
Yeah, right before he was born, of Kurt Russell in
Right.
this movie. He talks about Cheers and how it's some other show that wouldn't get the good ratings or something. Well, why would a 7-year-old know about ratings?
They were doing it in the first movie too, because in the first movie he was like this whole if I put a black light, this whole place looked like a Jackson Pollock painting. I was like, you were a kid. Like I didn't know what Jackson Pollock was until I was like 16. How the hell did you know about
Unless
that?
during the time as a Ravager out in space, there is some Earth knowledge floating around
because
for
they
him
had
to pick up
they
on.
had to get the Zune from somewhere.
Yeah, I wish a cutscene would have been him going through the Zune, and because just because he got a Zune,
He gets a Zune at the end, guys.
Yeah.
He goes squishes his Walkman and he gets a Zune.
So it's like, so it's a Zune, so obviously it's not going to have just songs from 1988 and before on there.
Yeah.
So I just want to see Peter Quill's reaction
Like
to
Discover the Black Eyed Peas for the first
Yeah,
time.
or like
a dubstep or something.
What
is this shit?
I was one of the weird kids that had a Zune instead of an iPod in high school. So I feel like James Gunn is slowly just like sapping away my life force and giving it to the character.
To Zune.
I'm actually a little worried now. Does this mean that the next volume, the Awesome Mix, is going to be like you have to buy a whole iPod of 300 songs?
It's going to be a Spotify playlist. You don't need to see any other Marvel movies other than Guardians 1 before seeing this. And in fact, the only connection to other Marvel movies is the Stan Lee cameo, which addresses a theory you've had for a long time, Zach.
Yes, Zach, you have the floor.
Yeah, so back in like 2013 or 2014, I think it was, I was just like, hey Marvel, can we just officially announce Stan Lee as Uatu now? Because that would be the best thing you could ever do. And I'm not the only one to come up with that theory, obviously, so I don't want to take credit like I'm the one who invented it. I do want to say that there is a phone and I called it.
So now, like I said, I'm not a big comic book reader. Who is Uatu the Watcher?
The Watchers are essentially a legion of omnipotent beings who exist only to watch certain planets or certain species.
They are forbidden to interfere.
They're forbidden to interfere only by their own code. But Uatu is Earth's Watcher, and he basically can't help himself.
So what was he doing on Xandar in the first Guardians movie?
Well, the theory is that that's either a different Watcher, and they all just make themselves look like Stan Lee, or he's looking specifically after Peter Quill because they're the Watcher of the human species. The team that Sylvester Stallone kind of looks at like, we're all together again. That's the original Guardians of the Galaxy from 1980.
We did not see the Soul Stone in this movie.
No stone.
They're probably saving that for Ragnarok.
Yeah, I was a little bit kind of expecting
it
to be at the heart of the planet.
I actually know some fun fan theories. One of them is that he is that the Soul Stone is literally inside Idris Elba's character. Heimdall. Tesseract, H has not been revealed yet. Aether necklace because it's from the Eye of Agamotto.
That's the one
is
Doctor
orb,
Strange has.
S is the scepter of Loki. So the fan theory is that it's Heimdall, and that's how he's out. That's how he's able to see everyone across the galaxy when he's like guarding his post.
Because of course Idris Elba would have soul.
Be quiet.
Damn right.
In the first Thor movie, one of the things you see in the background is the Infinity Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet, yeah.
However, Thanos puts on the Infinity Gauntlet at the end of Avengers 2. What people noticed is that the one that Thanos puts on at the end of Ultron is right-handed, whereas the one in Asgard is a left-handed glove.
Strike that. Reverse it.
Soul, mind, space, reality,
and time.
Time and
power.
Profit.
Love.
No, I can't.
Heart!
Jeff Goldblum shows up in the credits.
In the credits.
Playing the...
I couldn't tell if that was Jeff Goldblum.
That was Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, that's the character he'll eventually play in Ragnarok.
I saw the lip thing for sure, but I couldn't tell.
And scattered throughout the credits were I Am Groot, which then changed into real credits.
Actual credits.
And that was cute.
I gotta wonder if that, like... Because I know that like union rules state that, you know, your name must be in the credits for so long or something, and that must have been like getting people to agree to that.
I imagine it wouldn't be hard.
I mean, their thing is, I'll be... Yeah, my name will be on screen for half the time, but more people will be paying attention to it. I can't think of anything else I want to talk about.
So there's something I was going to say and I forgot it.
So what's the attraction then?
Oh yeah, I forgot that's the thing we did.
Hi, welcome to the thing where we talk about theme parks. Welcome to Kurt Russell is my dad. Boo hoo.
We already know what the attraction is.
Mission Breakout!
Break out before you get bumped, yes. But,
Wow, Wes. I'm strolling into the white. I'm too white for that.
Stroll into the DCA.
well, so was Will Smith. But anyway, so the question really this time is, how is the attraction connected to this film in particular? Morgan.
Gamora and Nebula perform Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Do you want to go kill Thanos?
You don't actually ever exit the ride. You just go up to the highest point. You fly into a blob of gray matter and come back down. And then you become one with Ego the Living Planet, and that's the end of the ride.
That's fantastic. Luke.
They have like the various themed, big drink containers, like, they're BB-8 or whatever they are. So they need to make ones that look like the weird creature from the beginning of the movie that they serve like Dole Whip in. So it's like a big yellow gushy thing inside the alien monster thing with teeth.
Well, the ride's the same. You get one of your 6 outcomes, but as soon as you leave, they hand you a free Zune. With 300 songs, and you have to be impressed by that.
They've got plenty of them.
They're all various covers of It's a Small World.
All the clerks at the gift shop are sovereign, and they just get increasingly annoyed that you don't take them seriously, and they have to go check in the back for merchandise.
Dave.
When it launches you to the top, they kick one guest at random out of the ride and make them ride down holding on to the arrow so they can be Mary Poppins.
Well, as usual, you're all wrong.
Yay!
As you get to the top, Doctor Strange comes and he takes over and he reverses time and turns it into the Tower of Terror again. But it's the Tower of Terror for how the Guardians world perceives Earth, so it's the Tower of Terror. Thank you very much.
I quit. I'm done. No more. Not doing this anymore.
So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I got Pac-Man fever.
Pac-Man fever.
It's driving me crazy.
Driving me
I
crazy.
got Pac-Man fever.
Pac-Man fever.
Got me out of my mind.
Got me out of my mind.
I just have Pac-Man laryngitis.
Womp womp.
It's time to Pac-Man. The best way to Pac-Man is to use the game. You move the joystick and you eat the done.
I am Groot.
What?
I am Groot.
I am
Groot.
Tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag.
I'm a plague carrier.
We're so curious.
Pac-Man! 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 There is no more song now.